everyone, this is Lori from the Crafting Auntie. Welcome back to my channel. I'd like to welcome all my new subscribers. I'd like to welcome all those that have been with me for a while. And today we're going to do another fun project. So this is a mini loaded postal pocket, file folder pocket. And I used Tracey Fox's Postal Scraps. I love that new kit that she has out. And so I created this. So let me just show you what this is. So here I added one of these little metal pieces that you put in with a brad and it'll turn to the side like that. And inside here I also added this index card. It's let's see, what is it called? It's one of these. They're metal index clips. That's what they are. And they come from 49 a Market. So I added one here to the top, and you just pull this out, and it's got some little postal ephemera stickers in there that I've collected off of a shop on Etsy. And then this just moves around and keeps that closed, just like that. And this is a file folder that I just used a index card template. And I'm going to be creating the same thing. So I just used this to cut it out of the postal scrap paper from Tracey Fox. Just get a little closer so you can see it. I covered the back as well. So this could be something that be put into another pocket, or you can choose not to cover the back and you can glue this down inside. I also made a few tags. I'm not going to do the tags on this video because the file folder postal pocket takes a little bit of time, and I don't want to spend too much time on here with you guys, wasting your time. So I'm going to do this part of it. But here's what I did do on these. So these are, again, are pieces from the kit. The only thing I did is I used some of the Tim Holtz craft cardstock that is sandable, and I sanded all around it. I also used some of Tracey Fox's Dispatch, and she's got some small labels on one of the sheets in the back. And so I cut some of those. I printed them on sticker paper and cut some of these out and put some underneath on this one. And on the other two, I didn't because they had some unique sides to them, just kind of real scrappy looking, so I thought they were fine the way they were. This is, I stitched all around. I messy stitched around here, and then I did a little bit better stitching around here. And then I stitched this piece of leather on. These are also backed, so you have something on the back as well. And I did use the postal scraps for the back. And then I added a piece of leather, and I stitched that on, and then I also added some eyelets on here. So that's where these are. But these I won't do because it'll take too long for me to do the video. So we're going to work on this, and then you can make some extra tags or whatever it is you want to put in your pocket. So this has a little smaller gusset on it, and that way it holds actually quite a bit because these are quite thick. So it actually will hold all of these sticking out, just like that. Okay, so let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is take my template, and I'm going to take a couple of pieces of the cardstock that I printed. And I did print these on both sides. So I'm just going to choose which side I want on the front. I think I like this one, and I want to capture some of this. So right here I'm going to go ahead and trace around this with my pencil, and I'm also tracing the tab on this one, but on the back piece I won't be tracing the tab part. It'll be just straight across. So we've got that. And then I'm just going to use my ruler and my craft knife. And I'm just going to cut all of this on the lines that I just put. So this is pretty easy, and if you have your own template of an index card like this one, or you can just make it a square or a rectangle like this, and then you can add a tab onto the top. So it's various ways that you could actually do this and accomplish the same product at the end. This is just the way that I decided to do it. I've been working on it all morning, and I thought I better get my video done. So we are out here doing it now. Okay, so for the tab part, all I did was I did use my knife just to go up to the edge of where the tab starts, and on the other side as well. And then what I did is I just used my scissors. So grab my scissors and then I just cut around it. So that makes it pretty easy to do. Like so. Okay, so here's the front piece. And now I'm going to go ahead and trace the second piece, and I think I want this on the back, so I'm going to go ahead and just put this on here, trace around it with a pencil, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut that out, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so now I have my two pieces. So I've got the tab that's going to go on the front, and I like this part to show, so I'm going to put that on the back. So that is our file folder pocket itself. So now I want to cut out the same pieces that I used on this, because I like the length and the height on this. And so it's also out of the postal scraps. It's going to be this one right here and this one to back it. And so I'm going to go ahead and cut those out, and then I'll be right back. Okay, I've cut these out. And I'm going to use my corner rounder to just round the corners here rather than cut them. I'm going to use the small side and just go around this. There was also a little tab at the top. I did not put that on. I cut it off because I'm going to be adding on that metal index piece, metal index clip. Okay, so we've got this, and this will end up going together. Now what goes in the center of these are tiny envelopes. And I had gotten these tiny envelopes off of a shop on Etsy. I want to say Book Nook Creations, but I may be wrong on that. I'll have to see if I can link something below for you. So on these, that's what makes this little flip out, little pockets, just using the little envelopes. Okay, so let's go ahead, and on these we are going to glue the flap shut, and then we're just going to trim off a little bit on the edge, and then that will create our little pockets that we will put together. So all I'm doing is just adding a little bit of glue to the top to seal that down, and I'm going to do that on each one. I'm sure you've seen these before. Other people have made them. I did not make this up. This is just my idea of some little project. Kind of wanted to do some more postal themed things, and Tracey Fox's kit is just perfect for this. All right. Now, once we have them all glued shut, I'm just going to line them up, and I'm just going to take a sliver off. Not much at all. Let me close up my glue so I don't get it dry. So I'm just going to hold them together like this. Just hold them really tight. And then I'm just going to trim off the top. Just like that. Now they should all be open. So now you've got the little pockets all inside here. And then what you do is when you glue them together, then you end up having these little pockets. So all you're going to do for that, I'm going to go ahead and get that done, is make sure that they're all upright, that each one of them, make sure it's not upside down. And then you're just going to put a little bit of glue right down the center. So I'm just going to put a little glue right down here and then glue one on top, making sure that they are upright. So you want the top of the envelope that we glue shut at the top here. Put another strip of glue and add another one. And then do this until you've got them all attached. Make sure they don't slip on you like this one did. Just remove it and adjust it. There we go. A little bit more glue on top. And there's 5 of these that I put together. And the last one. Very simple to do. If you don't have these little envelopes, you can actually just make them out of vellum, or you can use a different kind of envelope that you have, whatever you may have in your stash. So now when you open it, I grab the front and the back, you've got these little pockets, just like that. And then those will go in between here, like so. Like that. Okay, so we are down to, let's do some inking, and then I'll do some stitching, and then we're going to start putting things together. So I'm going to use ground espresso, and I'm inking the fronts of this front little pocket, envelope pocket, front and back, because you may see this once it's open. And so I'm just adding some of this distress ink all over the inside, just so it has a little covering and there's no white showing. So basically like that. And then I'll do the back the same way. And the same thing on the white on this piece as well. It's not really going to make much of a difference. On this one, you don't have to go all into the center because it's going to get glued down to the front. So just as long as you have it around it. So these now are ready to be stitched, which I will be stitching around each piece on this one. So it's what I did here on this. Whoops. So I did some stitching. You can see the stitching on there that goes all the way around like that. And then let's go ahead and ink these as well. And then we're going to make some gussets. And you can grunge this up as much as you want. It's entirely up to you. I'm doing both sides because you would see the inside. So I want to make sure I have the ink, distress ink, all on the edges and all around both front and back. Just like that. And the back piece is the one that does not have the tab. Again, I'm doing both sides. Same thing. Okay. I think we got it. All right. Enough of the inking for right now. So now I want to go ahead and cut a couple of gussets. And for that, I'm just going to use some scrap paper and my paper trimmer. And I'm just going to cut a 1-inch strip. So let's see. Let's just cut. Let me just cut this off. So I don't need all of this. And let me just take the edges off. And I want to square this up now because I didn't do a very good job. So now we've got a square piece. Cut off the edges here. And let's see. I didn't give you measurements on this. Let me just give you measurements just in case. So if you wanted to make this without using a template, it's about 5 5/8. And at the top of the tab, it's 4. And at the bottom where the tab is not there, it's about 3 3/8. So on the gussets that I added inside here, I'm going to cut a piece that's 1 inch. Okay, and then we want them to be the height of our file folder. So I'm just going to take one of these and measure it. We want it to be just a little bit shorter. So I'm going to go with 3 1/2. I know you can't see that here, but 3 1/2. And let's see if I have enough on one strip. Oh, I do. Perfect. Okay. So now we have our 2 strips. I could just cut it straight. Okay. All right. So I have my 2 strips. I'm going to go ahead and ink these. Both sides. Not that it's going to show, but I just like having them inked just in case. So I'll do that. And then you can decide which side you want it to show. And then we're going to score it every 1/4 inch. So we have 1 inch. And I'm just going to score it. I'm just going to go backwards. So 3/4, 1/2, and 1/4. Same thing. 3/4, 1/2, and 1/4. It's just easier scoring it backwards because of holding down the paper. So it's 1/4, 1/2, and 3/4. And then you're just going to do the mountain, valley fold. And on both pieces. And you can use your bone folder if you wish. These are scored pretty well, so I'm just going to press them down good. Okay, so now we've got our gussets. Kind of off a little bit on this one. Let me just straighten it out. Okay, so here's our 2 gussets now. We've got those ready. So now we are down to doing some sewing. So what I'll be doing is stitching around each piece on this, and I'll be stitching around each piece on this. And then in addition to that, I have some stickers that I've also printed on sticker paper. Let me just grab those. And I want to cut a couple of those out. So here's what I've got, and this is on sticker paper. And I want to put this same post office on the front like I did here on a piece of leather. So I'm going to cut that one out. And I'll be stitching this as well. And I want to stitch it onto a piece of this leather. So let's just cut our piece of leather while we're at it. And just cut it as straight as you can. If you don't have leather, you can use faux leather. You can use cardstock. It's entirely up to you. I got this package of leather pieces at Hobby Lobby. And I don't know, a friend of mine picked it up for me, so I don't know exactly where it was in the store, but you probably could check it out. So, okay, so that's going to go on here. I'm going to ink that, and then we'll stick it on, and I'll stitch it. And then I want to also cut out a couple of things. Let's see, what do I have already cut out maybe I can use? It doesn't have to be exactly the same. Have this cut out, and what I did on the front on this one is I added a sticker here, here, and here, and did some stitching around it. I want to do the same thing. So I think I'm just going to go with what I've already got cut out here, except for maybe one. Well, actually, I think these will be fine. Save that little one. And I'm just going to stick these on the front before I stitch. Oops. So I think I'll put this one down here. And you don't have to do this. This is entirely something I just decided I wanted to do. And knowing that this is going to be here in the front, I just kind of want to line this up and figure out where I'm going to put it. I just want it peeking out. I think I'll do that there. And then I'm just going to use this one over here. Instead of recutting some other labels, I'll just use the ones that I have out. And let's just come down here a little bit. And then I'm going to go ahead and ink this up as well and stick this onto the leather. And then I'm going to do all the stitching at one time. And that'll take care of most of it. There'll still be a little bit of stitching to do, but not as much. Okay, I'm going to go do all the stitching, and then I'll be right back. All right, I have all the stitching done. So I've stitched here, 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 all the way around. And then on the back, I've done the same thing, just stitched all the way around. And on the front two pieces, I've stitched around those. I have also stitched my little postal piece onto the leather. So we are getting close to putting it together. Now, the one thing I added was this little charm to the front on this little hook thing. And these are silver. So let me show you those. They look like this. And so I'm going to alcohol ink it with some latte alcohol ink. So I'm just going to do this off to the side and just let that begin to dry. And I'm just adding the alcohol ink all around it. I'll try and show you after I get it on here. So I'm using my Tim Holtz mat. Let me just slide this over so you can see. So I've just added the alcohol ink, and I'm just going to let that dry. So that can continue drying. Meanwhile, I also am using a little metal piece that is going to hold this envelope pocket closed in the front. So I want to go ahead and punch the hole and add that piece. I added it after on the first one, and I really needed it to do it beforehand, but it worked out okay. So it's this little piece, put a brad in it, and then it turns. So let's see, I'm going to just figure out where my piece is going to be, and then just going to use a pokey tool again. Put my little metal piece up here so I know where to poke it, and right about there. And then I have some brads. Let's see, these are my eyelets. Get my brads back out. So I'm just going to pick a kind of a vintagey looking one. Yeah, this one will work. And then I'm just going to put that in there and flatten the prongs. And you might want to put some tape over this just in case you have some things in there in your pocket. So that's where that's going to go. So we've got that on there. So let's start putting this baby together. So I want to make sure this is what I want on the outside back. So the first thing I want to do is let's work on this piece. So we got our two pieces. Let's get our little pocket envelopes. And I'm going to glue one to the front and one to the back. So just make sure that you've got the top and make sure that this is the right side. And then I'm just going to put glue all over this piece and glue it down. And just centering it is all I'm doing. And then, so that's going to go like this. And then I want this to show because this is going to get glued down. So I'm just going to add the glue to this last one. Oops. Just like that. And glue this on and lining them up. Just do the best you can. Okay, so now that creates our little envelope pocket. The next thing I want to do is add the gussets. So I'm going to go ahead and ink these up first. I did not do that yet. Just adding a little bit onto the edges. I did the other inking, so I just kind of want to get where they've been folded. Not much. And then I'm going to have this, like the mountaintop, out, showing this way. So what I'm going to do is just glue these right onto the inside of the back. Just going to add some glue and press these down. Same thing on this side. Add the glue and press these down. Just like that. And just give them a nice little press. And then the front, excuse me, we're going to just glue on just like that. Right here and here. And you're probably thinking, well, the bottom's open, but it won't be because we're going to take this back to the sewing machine and I'm going to just stitch along the bottom. So just push these in a little bit, even it up, make sure it's even, straight, and in the right spot. And then press it down really good. just like that. So I'm going to take it to my machine now, and I'm going to just sew another stitch right here along the bottom. Okay, so now we've got it stitched. So now we've got our little pocket like that. And it makes it nice because you can see in the inside, and it's not white. It's got more of the Tracey Fox Postal Scraps printed on the inside. So now we can, let's go ahead and glue. I think I want to glue this on here, but let's make sure where this is going to go. And right about there. Just going to use the art glue to glue again. And this is the piece. I did stitch around this just to hold it on there because it is a label. So let's put that right about there. And then we're going to go ahead and glue on the back of our little pocket, envelope pocket. And then I want to line it up. Make sure that my little tab will go over it. Just do that and press that in place. Just like that. So now this will hold it closed. And then the other thing I want to do, now that I got it in place, is I'm going to use one of these little metal tab index clips. This is from 49 and Market. It's usually like a copper, kind of rusty color, but I also have some that just look very worn and vintage that aren't like a copper color. All right, so this is going to go here on the front, and I have to glue it in place, but I want to put a little something underneath it. And let's see, I think I had this little, I think I'm just going to use the part that says airmail. So let me just trim that. That's just going to peek through that little index window. Ink it up a little bit. The other one has postal card, just a little tiny piece. And then it's a sticker, so I'm going to go ahead and stick this on, and then that way I can put the clip over it. Okay. So right about here, I don't know if you can see that. So I've got that on there. And then you just want to make sure that when you glue this down that you're going onto the inside of the front of the little pocket, because you can grab some of the rest of it. So I'm just going to add some glue in here into this, just like that. And then I'm just going to carefully put that right here and then hold it in place and let that dry. I've tried squishing it and it just does not work. It doesn't look right. I did it a little bit on the other one, wasn't happy with it, so I just glued it on, and that's all I'm going to do on this one is just put it in place and glue it down. So now that can just dry. Put our little flip, I don't know what that's called. Looks like a little metal flip piece, but it holds it down. And then the next thing I want to do is go ahead and get my other metal piece, and I've added some alcohol to it. I'm going to add just a tad more to the back side of it, so we'll give it just a couple of seconds to let that dry. So what we could do while we're waiting on that is I added these little tiny metal corners, and I just thought it finished it off. So let me grab those. A whole bunch of them in here. My sister sent me these from Nana's Crafting Cottage a while back, and I haven't really used them yet, and I thought this was a perfect project for it. So I'm going to put them on all four corners. And I will smush them down just a little bit, but I'm going to add the glue first. And you just want to make sure that you're going on just the front, so you don't do your two pieces, your front and back together. So it fits nicely here within the gusset. And then I'm just going to take my pliers and just kind of crimp down the ends. Put them in place. And crimp those down just carefully, just like that. There's one. I'm going to do all the rest of them the same way. Little glue. Make sure I'm only on the front. Push that in and give it a little squeeze. Try not, these are so tiny, I'm trying not to squeeze them out of shape too badly, but you do need to have a little bit of a squeeze on them just to hold them in place so they don't come off. I know the glue would also hold it, but I just like to make sure that it's on there. Now on the bottom, you'll want to go over the whole bottom corner. So that's front and back. Because we stitched the bottom of that, so it actually kind of becomes one piece. And our last one, then we should be able to do our little metal piece that is drying. So just be careful, get that in, front and back. Make sure I get it on right. It can be a little bit challenging, but not too bad. There we go. Crimp there and a little crimp here. So now we've got that. Love it. Love it, love it. Okay. Our metal piece. Let's see. Hopefully we're dry. So still a little bit tacky, but not too bad. Let it sit there for a minute. It was kind of sitting in a pool of alcohol ink. So let me just dry that a little bit. And then we're going to need another brad. So let's see. This one. And then I'm going to go ahead and on this tab part here, I'm going to just use my crocodile and use the small hole and do a punch. Punch it wherever you want to. I try to stay away from the thread. So I think I'll just do it here. And then we'll lay this on here like that and put our brad through it. Now, one thing I did have to do on the other one was I did put a piece of paper on the back just to cover it. And I just used just a piece of scrap that I had here. So I'm just going to grab just a little piece of scrap and cut it. Oh, here we go. Let's just use this. So let's just cut a little strip. Put a little ink on it. And this is just kind of to hold that brad in place. But I also found that I did need to put glue underneath the piece as well. So I just kind of squoze some glue. There's a little hole in there. I'm not sure if that'll work, but if not, I will just squeeze some glue underneath on the other side. So I'm just going to hold this down. I'm just covering up that brad just so it's not exposed. It doesn't get bumped or pulled on and then this piece will fall off. We don't want that to happen. And it seems like it's going to be okay. I think I will add just, oh, actually, I think that's pretty good. That worked out really well. And we're just going to tip this piece. No, I need to add just a tad of glue underneath here. So I'm just going to squeeze some in here. It's kind of what I did on the other one. And then just hold it down. So let me do that. I'm just going to hold it down for a few seconds. That way it doesn't twist around all the time. If you don't mind it, then, you know, I wouldn't worry too much about it. But I didn't want this twisting around. Now I'm going to grab a charm. I think I'll just grab... Let's see if I had another key. Let me grab the rest of my charms, and I'll be right back. Okay, let's see. I think I want to use another little key. That's what I used on that. So let's just grab that. So got that little key. And I'm just going to grab a ball pen, put this through it, the top, and then hook it on to this little loop here and close the bulb pin. And then that will hang down just like that. Okay, I think we have finished it. Let's just take a look at what we've done. So we've created the pocket itself out of I just used a index file tab template that I had, and I just traced around it. We cut the paper out. I did it on double-sided so that I had the front and the back and the inside so there was no white showing. We did stitching. We made this little envelope pocket in the front. It lifts out like that. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 pockets. So we've got that. We added this little metal tab in here to hold it shut. We sewed this sticker onto this leather. We added these corner pieces. We added this metal tab, I don't know what this is called, a little tab loop thing on the top, which is still drying. And we added this key. And then I'm just going to show you with the things that I had already made. Then we can just fill it up with any kind of tags that you might have made. And actually it holds quite a bit because these are quite thick. So we can just fill that up there. And then inside here, we can add, I have a few stickers that I've cut out, so we could just add some of those in here and close it up. Give it as a gift, put it in your journal, whatever you'd like to do. So this is our project for today. I hope you guys had a good time learning how to do this. It was fun to make. I was working on this morning, just kind of creating to make sure what I was going to be doing. So here's the two. This is the one I made off camera. This is the one we made on camera. And then, of course, these tags we didn't do on camera, but all this is Tim Holtz craft stock that I have sanded. I have backed it with the same postal scraps from Tracey Fox. I also added the leather, stitched all around it on both, added eyelets on each piece. And that's what I've used for my tags to go inside here. You can put anything you want to in there. So that's our project for today. I hope you guys give it a try, and I'd love to see. You can always find me on Instagram. You can tag me. You can always find me on Facebook. I always leave the links down below, and I would love to see what you do. So you guys have a great day. God bless you all, and we'll see you when we come back on Friday.